How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, so we have the rank 4 SIG 200 Dracula CCP preview slash test gameplay, whatever you want to call it. This is a pretty long video because I know a lot of you are excited about this champion, so I wanted to take him against quite a few fights just to show you what he can do. I do just want to say right off the bat, he is not better than Nico in my opinion. You'll just see that some of the stuff that Nico can do, he just can't do, but we'll get into that later. And yeah, so do keep in mind, everything I know about the champion and how I played him is what I learned from the deep dive that Kabam officially put out, because this is all we kind of see when it comes to abilities, so I can't really dig in there and see if there's something I'm missing, so just keep that in mind. And then the last thing I want to point out before we start is I'm using the Ghost Rider relic to increase degen damage, and this guy's PI is really freaking high at 6200. So anyways, let's get started. Alright, starting with Deathless Thanos. So this is kind of one of those matchups that he does really well. You know, I don't really have a certain order to these. You can kind of just go to whichever fight you want, but this is kind of one of his I don't know what premium fights, you know, the fights that he's like really good at and he's kind of seems to be made for. If you don't know how he works, basically you want to light intercept to increase how much degen damage they are taking. They will always start taking degen damage at the start of the fight. He can nullify on his special one on every single hit and steal buffs. Only certain buffs like Furies, I think. He puts a 40-second slow on with his special one as well. And that degen, by the way, will tick down as long as you are hitting him with strikers in your attacks. And yeah, that nullify comes in pretty handy. So you can see Deathless Thanos, pretty easy without you know, his ability to go just unstoppable all the time. Dracula making it look pretty easy. And then, you know, intercept special 2, get a bunch of healing. You know, the healing was a little underwhelming testing him, but you know, whatever, there we go. Deathless Thanos, easy peasy. Now here's one fight I wanted to show, because for most part, oh, and by the way, try not to pay too much attention to how much damage he's taking in terms of block, because man, the block damage on the CCP server seems like so high. Like before I knew it, I was like 20% down. But anyways, this is a fight I wanted to show people because you know, unfortunately Serpent is Serpent, and he is one of the premium or not premium, one of the best defenders in the game still, and you need a counter to it. And this is kind of one of those fights where I wanted to show you, because he does it as well as anybody else up until, you know, the final you know, 1% of Serpent's life. You can see it's moving very well. Unfortunately has no way to avoid this block damage, because even if you nullify the true focus, it just comes back whenever he throws a special. So there's no way to really dodge that with Dracula. The regen doesn't really, you know, keep you topped up with how many specials he throws, and then the nullify on the special one also doesn't work, because his afterlife, or whatever it's called, cannot be nullified. So again, you're gonna get tired of me saying this by the end of the video. Nico does this fight better. I'm just bringing this up because, unfortunately, even though a champion's hype, it's my job, now that I'm in the CCP, to tell you the truth. And the truth is, Nico's better. That doesn't mean he's not bad. It's just Nico would have handled that a lot better. You get my point? So, again, moving on to Maestro. Another fight he did pretty well, because the cool thing about him is that, you know, he can nullify Maestro's buffs up till, you know, he gets to 40 charges, and then they're all passive. But for the most part, like, he does a very good job. You know, getting rid of that glancing is huge. It just is. I forgot to mention he can go invisible. It's a big part of his kit if you hit their block. So if you hit their block, he can go invisible, and then you can intercept, get an opening that way. It's just another way you can get an opening. If you try to use that consistently, I think you'll find in a couple matches, kind of like that serpent match, but there's also a lot of other fights I'll show you down the line where that becomes kind of hard to use sometimes. It just depends on the matchup. But you can see he's melting this Maestro. Unfortunately, once Maestro hits that 40 and he starts to throw those special attacks, and you're taking that super mega OP aura damage, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad how much damage we're taking right now. I'm doing my best to end this fight, and we finally get it down. Again, I don't know if that's just the values of the CCP server, but just keep in mind how much damage he's taking. Okay, another really hard defender that I don't really blame anyone for not being able to take, but again, I just want to point out that Nico would probably just take this better anyways as well. I was hoping that his regen would be able to maybe counteract how much Nova Flame damage I'm taking. Since she's such a tough defender, I kind of maybe assumed that that would be kind of taken into consideration for a champion like Dracula, but unfortunately, like trying to gain power to get to the special 2 before I get melted away just wasn't working. And again, I failed to mention a lot of these fights I've done like 3 or 4 times at this point when I finally get the final recording. And then again, he can't do anything about this final life, as far as I know. Yeah, it's just not. I think he can maybe nullify it, but it goes. No, that's a safeguard because it goes passive. But yeah, she knocked me out again. So, so here's a fun one. It's King Groot. So this one's fun because you can steal all of King Groot's Furies on the special 1. It doesn't hit too hard, even with like a bunch. But it's decent. Remember, this is a rank 4, so like my expectations are pretty high when it comes to what a champion can do. I think the worst part about his playstyle, and look, he's kind of melting him away a little bit there, is that you have to if you want to keep up your damage, you have to do a lot of light attacks, and that relies a lot on the AI. There's so many fights where I was trying to get light attacks, and you'll see them towards the end of the video. I started keeping them in because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna show people. But it was just like, man, I can't land a hit on this guy, and every time I missed, mediums, at least you hit their block sometimes and you can kind of respond. Missing a light attack or a light intercept is a no-no. You just get comboed to the face and lose half your health. So anyways, he took that really good. Here's another trouble fight in the Cosmic class. Hulkling, just a pain, huge pain. Again, Nico would just turn all of this off. Unfortunately, Dracula has to deal with the regens, invulnerability, all that kind of stuff, the Piers, all of it. And his slow doesn't really help here because there's nothing to slow down here. So again, I'm not saying this to be a hater. I'm just saying, just telling you what's going on, how he is, how he compares to other champions. I mean, hell, even playing him, there's a lot of fights where I realized I need to rank up my oh, what's her name? Kushala, sorry, Kushala. Because she would take a lot of those fights better. That's literally what I was thinking. He's not a bad champion. Because anyone with degen is never probably going to be a bad champion because you can just apply degen to everybody, except Spider-Ham sometimes. And that's why like degen champs are pretty rare and will always be useful until they make a degen immune champ or something, right? Okay, moving on to Gore. Gore's another fun one. This is a really good fight for him because you can steal. Wait, does Gore give Furies? I don't remember. But basically, yeah, you can nullify a bunch of his buffs. And again, Gore's just not a very good defender anymore. Like he really used to be. I promise he used to be a good defender. I don't know what happened really. I don't know if we just all learned how to dodge his specials or if all his buffs like all of his buffs just really ended up being more of a downside for Gore in the long run. But anyways, yeah, this fight went really well. There we go. You can see that invisible comes in handy a lot in a lot of cases. Oh, you can heavy to increase your tick rate on the degen. I forgot to mention that. That's my fault. So there's a lot of places where you can use that to your advantage. And there you go, Gore down. That's really a really good fight for Dracula. Okay, so here's a Gallon. I wanted to show you this so you don't make this mistake if you pull Dracula, or if you're, I don't know, 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line, coming to this video and you're like checking him out because you just pulled him from the Titan Crystal. Yeah, I don't want you to make this mistake. But I forgot that you can't nullify Gallon's buffs. So you kind of just, you got to pay attention to those because unfortunately there's nothing I can do now about his buffs, and he will eventually just burst me down. If you can kind of get him down fast enough, if you're better with your intercepts, better than me with your intercepts, you might be able to handle that much better. But unfortunately, because I can't nullify his buffs, I'm getting a lot of that damage. And then again, the healing was kind of underwhelming, so it doesn't really feel like it helps that much. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I don't know. Just leave your thoughts on that down below, I guess. Moving on to Vision Arcus. This is where I want to bring up that he's kind of a champion where I feel like I almost want to grade them on a different scale. So what I'm talking about is there's a lot of times where I felt like I had to replace my damage with utility of the special one. Like for Vision Arcus and someone like Hyperion, I need to get rid of their power drain, which means I have to be throwing the special one. Special one's okay at damage, it's not horrible, but that just means I could never use my special 2 because I gotta have those buffs nullified, and it's just kind of like one of those things. This was cool because I was able to nullify both buffs at the same time. I mean, again, it's not awful, right? It's just like I just felt like, man, I can't use my special 2 because I gotta nullify these buffs. Okay, we're moving on into fights just from other classes that I want to try. Not all of these are going to be even victories from here on out. Like, these are just going to be like either my first experience with the fight or whatever, because I didn't feel like re-recording because it took like 3 hours of my day, like testing a bunch of stuff, learning how to play him, all that kind of stuff. I just got kind of bored of of honestly like retrying fights to make them perfect. So I'm just gonna tell you if I think they can be done while you watch the gameplay. So Arnim Zola, yes, I think Arnim Zola can absolutely be melted by Dracula if you're a better player than me. I do this honestly, like I would have not even lost this fight, but I just played it really dumb. I just made a really big mistake. So my first mistake was I forgot to heavy. I mean, if you're part of the channel for any amount of time, I suck at Arnim Zola. But anyways, we were going pretty good. We're doing fine. And then he launches a special 2. And for some reason, I run into the blades. And so again, this is not Dracula's fault. And then he just throws a special 1 because he knows I'll be knocked out by it, and I'm done. So anyways, I'm counting that as a win, and he can definitely do that fine. Photon. So believe it or not, I actually think he can do Photon fine. Like every other champion, the problem is he's going to run into... He's probably going to run into what's her mode called? Overload? What's it? I forgot what. Oh, pure light. It's not overload. It's pure light. He's gonna run into that pure light form, and then you kind of have to hope that she's not throwing those special ones, right? Again, I think most of this damage came from just blocked hits from the CCP values. I don't know. Oh, there's some real damage. But again, I think with the right AI RNG and maybe a better player, he can absolutely do Photon. But you can say that about a lot of champions, right? So anyways, I die here because she touches my foot with some light. GG's. Okay, moving on to Nick Fury. So I wanted to show you this fight because I wanted to show you something to be careful of that I found out the hard way in this fight. So you know that invisibility I was talking about? That can get you into some trouble if you're not paying attention. And look at this. There's another problem I want to bring up. Those light attacks are so risky. You miss a light attack, you get punished so bad, man. So bad. So this is definitely, like, I think this is a high skill champion. I think there's safer ways to play him. Like, you can kind of parry heavy with this guy if you want. I just feel like if you want max potential, yeah, you gotta be kind of crazy, man. But so here's what I want to show you. After this, you know, we're feeling pretty good. But then I hit his block, and then I go invisible, but he has you know, whatever amount of charges and KOs me. So you just gotta be careful of that stuff. Here's a Yelena fight I tried, but he can definitely take Nick Fury. Obviously everyone can. You just gotta be, almost everyone can. All right, Elena, can you take Elena? Maybe. I just don't think I've ever successfully fought this champion except with like no, not even Archangel, because she's immune to poison. I know I beat her once. I just don't remember who it was with. It was probably like Domino or something. I don't know. I'm sure he can. Again, this is kind of another fight where, like, you just have to be good at the game to beat her and understand what's going on. I realized when I was recording this video, there's so many hard defenders now that, like, by the time I got here, I realized, like, do I even know what I'm doing against Yelena half the time? Like, do I really know, like, what's going on in this fight? Because the first 3 times I tried to fight her, like, I really got KO'd a lot, like, quickly. And those special attacks do so much damage. It's just like, man. You know, I think me just banning her is just kind of, I forgot, like, what she does. But again, you know, I get melted. But again, I think he can do it pretty easy. Here's a Sasquatch. I wanted to see how he would do against a beefy boy, because I was like, I don't know, maybe the degen won't hold up against a bigger health pool. I try to light again, and I get messed up. But you know, I get punished again. Another problem I had with this character is I just couldn't. On my account, light attacks just don't work. Light intercepts just don't work. They just don't work. Sorry, it's the wrong account for that. Anyways, he's throwing rocks at me. He's throwing hella rocks. Okay, there we go. Good intercept right into the special 2. Feeling good. Okay. And this fight doesn't go too bad. I don't think this is a fight I lose. I think genuinely it goes pretty well. Which is surprising because that healing at the end of his attack is pretty nuts. There we go. Okay. See, I'm scared to intercept. By this point, I was terrified to intercept. I just didn't want to do it. There we go. Nice intercept there. There we go. He's still kind of melting away. That region is being kind of a pain. There's no buffs to really nullify here, so you kind of just have to spam your special 2. Again, another light intercept punished. So if you're just not good at light intercepts, man, maybe this is not the champion for you. But I thought that about Absorbing Man, right? But I learned Absorbing Man's timing pretty well, so this might just be like a champion you gotta practice. So anyways, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're dodging. Oh, I have another failed light intercept. Seems to be a theme here, huh? Okay. Alright, another failed one. Come on, buddy. There we go. Special 1 to try to finish it off, and it does. Yay, congratulations, me. And I think this is the last fight. This basically just shows you, if you're not paying attention, you can just get mopped up, because I forgot Onslaught just doesn't miss when you're invisible. And then my light intercept at the wrong time just gets me melted. This fight is just a PSA on everything that can go wrong if you're not paying attention. with Dracula. So yeah, man, I know it's a long video. Hopefully you stuck around and heard all my points. I think overall, you know, he's not going to beat a Nico. Nico, you know, because he has no way to prevent buffs, and most of these fights, and most of the fights he needs to be able to take, it'd be way more beneficial to prevent buffs than it would be to nullify buffs. But that's okay. I think overall, he's great for what he is. He's pretty good. You're going to see really good players be able to melt with him, and, you know, just have a really good time. He has a great design. Drip is 10 out of 10. But, you know, just some of that utility is a little lacking, I think, unless there's some way to prevent buffs. Like I said, all I could do was go off of this, and the deep dive, which I watched like 4 or 5 times. But his big counter, you know, perfect counter, Deathless Thanos, he does beautifully, and, you know, he can definitely melt. So I hope you enjoyed the longer the longer video. I'm sorry my voice is still horrible from being sick, but I needed to make this to get this out to you today. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. That's it for this video. Y'all take care.